Imagine sitting down at a restaurant, knowing that a single mistake in the kitchen could silently kill you hours later, and choosing to eat there anyway. No antidote, no second chances. Just trust. This isn't a horror movie or some underground dare challenge. This is a real dish, served legally every single day in Japan. The fish on your plate contains tetrodotoxin, a poison so strong it can shut down your entire nervous system while your brain stays fully awake. You wouldn't scream, you wouldn't convulse. You would simply stop breathing. And yet, people pay hundreds of dollars to eat it. What makes this even crazier is that this fish isn't fast, aggressive, or dangerous in the way predators usually are. It's slow, awkward, almost cartoonish. A fish that looks harmless, yet carries enough poison to kill dozens of humans. So, how does something like this even exist? Why hasn't it gone extinct? How does its body survive carrying one of the deadliest toxins on Earth? And who was the first human who looked at this thing and thought, yeah, I'm going to eat that? Because once you understand how this fish works, you'll realize it might be one of the most terrifying evolutionary success stories ever. If you're walking through Shimonoseki City in Japan, you'll notice something strange almost immediately. You can't walk a single block without seeing signs like these: restaurants, menus, advertisements. But behind every one of these signs is a creature built like a biological weapon. One fish alone carries enough poison to kill over 30 humans. A toxin 1,200 times deadlier than cyanide. No antidote, no cure. No second chances. And yet, these signs aren't warnings. They're invitations. This is fugu, the Japanese name for pufferfish. And somehow, someone decided that this animal, of all animals on Earth, would be fun to slice up and eat. What makes this even more terrifying is that fugu is not a rare accident. It is the #1 cause of fatal food poisoning in Japan, with a death rate far higher than Salmonella or E. coli. So how does a fish this deadly even exist? How does it store so much poison without killing itself? Why hasn't it gone extinct? And most importantly, who was the first person brave or insane enough to eat it? When most people hear pufferfish, they picture something like this: round, spiky, and cartoonish. But the fugu eaten in Japan is usually a tiger puffer, which looks much less threatening. Worldwide, there are over 120 species of pufferfish, but only about 22 species are approved for consumption in Japan. These fish belong to a group called Tetrodontidae, found mostly in warm coastal waters. They go by many names: blowfish, balloonfish, toadfish, but they all share the same strange design: soft-bodied, slow-moving, almost defenseless. At first glance, pufferfish look like evolutionary mistakes. They have no claws, no speed, no armor. Some species barely swim at all, wobbling awkwardly through the water like a glitching video game character. And yet, they've survived for over 40 million years. To understand how, we need to look at their first line of defense: inflation. When threatened, pufferfish don't run. They don't fight. They inflate. They rapidly gulp massive amounts of water or air if they're on land, forcing it into a superelastic stomach that expands like a balloon. What makes this possible is something truly bizarre. Pufferfish don't have ribs, but their bones are fused into a rigid, box-like structure, allowing their organs to shift freely inside their body. When they inflate, their internal organs literally move out of the way to make room. In some species, sharp spines lie flat against the body until inflation causes them to snap outward. Now, the predator isn't just facing a bigger fish, it's facing a spiked balloon of regret. Most predators take one look and decide it's not worth it, but inflation alone isn't enough. Because some predators don't learn until it's too late. That's when the pufferfish plays its final card, tetrodotoxin, often shortened to TTX. This toxin is among the deadliest substances found in nature. Just 2 milligrams, roughly the weight of a grain of sand, is enough to completely shut down a human nervous system. A single wild pufferfish can contain over 200 times that amount. Tetrodotoxin works by blocking sodium channels in nerve cells. These channels allow electrical signals to move through your body. When they're blocked, your muscles stop responding. That means no movement, no speech, no breathing. And here's the worst part. Tetrodotoxin does not cross the blood-brain barrier, so victims often remain fully conscious as their body shuts down. They can see, they can think, they just can't move. Death usually comes from respiratory failure, slow, silent, terrifying, and somehow the pufferfish doesn't die from carrying all this poison. That's because it doesn't actually make tetrodotoxin. The toxin comes from bacteria, primarily from the Vibrio family, that live inside the pufferfish. These bacteria are consumed through the puffer's diet, which includes mollusks, starfish, and other toxin-carrying organisms. The pufferfish essentially becomes a walking biohazard, outsourcing poison production to microbes. But why doesn't the poison kill the fish itself? Because evolution pulled off something incredible. Pufferfish evolved a microscopic mutation in their sodium channels that prevents tetrodotoxin from binding. This single molecular change makes them immune to one of the deadliest toxins on Earth. Scientists still study this mutation today as one of the clearest examples of evolutionary adaptation at the molecular level. Imagine carrying enough poison to kill an elephant and evolving your entire nervous system just so you don't die from it. That's pufferfish logic. But tetrodotoxin isn't just a defense. In some species, trace amounts appear in saliva or mucus, possibly helping to immobilize prey. Even more disturbingly, female puffers coat their eggs with toxin. The eggs float openly in the water, brightly colored, completely exposed. Any predator that tries to eat them learns very quickly why that was a mistake. The pufferfish doesn't hide its weakness. It dares predators to try, and behind that goofy face, a weapon most people don't expect. Pufferfish have a beak-like mouth made of fused teeth. It's powerful enough to bite through coral, rock, crab shells, and human fingers. Aquarium owners are warned never to hand feed them. Once a puffer decides something is edible, it doesn't hesitate. Even stranger, pufferfish are intelligent. Some species can recognize their owners, navigate mazes, and learn feeding routines. One puffer in an Australian zoo even learned to swim onto a platform for health checkups, which is impressive, but also terrifying, considering how much poison it's carrying. So how did this turn into a meal? Fugu has been eaten in Japan for over 2,000 years. For centuries, it was banned repeatedly by emperors and military rulers. And yet, people kept eating it anyway. Why? Because fugu became a symbol, a test of bravery, a display of trust, a status dish for the elite. Even today, chefs must undergo years of training and pass brutal licensing exams to serve it legally. Less than half pass. Mistakes aren't allowed. And yet, people still die. Most deaths come from amateurs preparing it illegally or thrill seekers chasing the numb sensation of mild poisoning. In 1975, a famous kabuki actor insisted on eating for fugu livers, the most toxic part. He claimed he'd built a tolerance. He died hours later. Even legends aren't immune. So why would evolution create an animal so deadly that, if eaten, both predator and prey may die? Because nature doesn't care about individuals. It cares about reputation. If one predator dies trying to eat a pufferfish, others learn over millions of years. Enough predators learned the same lesson: don't touch the spiky balloon fish. The pufferfish didn't survive by speed or strength. Enjoyed this and want to see an animal with a venom even more terrifying than fugu, check out this video about cone snails, creatures that can kill you with a single invisible. If you walk through Shimonoseki City in Japan, you'll notice something strange. On every block, on every street, you see signs like these. Restaurants advertising fugu openly, proudly, almost casually. But these aren't just any menus. Behind every one of them is an animal so toxic that a single dose of its poison could kill 30 people. It's a toxin 1,200 times more deadly than cyanide, with no antidote and no cure. And yet, someone decided this creature would be a delicacy. This is fugu, the infamous pufferfish. And today, we breaking down how this fish became one of the deadliest animals ever served on a plate. This creature looks like it was engineered by nature as a biological weapon. One single dose of its toxin is strong enough to wipe out dozens of humans. There is no reversal, no second chance. And yet, this sign isn't a warning. It's an invitation. This animal of all animals has been chosen as food. This is fugu, the Japanese word for pufferfish. And this isn't a case where the poison is easy to remove or neutralize. Fugu is the #1 cause of fatal food poisoning in Japan. Its fatality rate is more than 50 times higher than E. coli or salmonella, and despite that, it remains completely legal. So, how does a fish this dangerous even exist? How does it deliver its poison? How does its body go from looking harmless to becoming a living landmine? And who, at some point in human history, looked at this thing and thought, yeah, I want to eat that? When most people hear pufferfish, they imagine a spiky balloon floating in open water. But the fugu served in Japan is very different. The most commonly eaten species is the tiger puffer, which looks far less intimidating. Meanwhile, creatures like porcupine fish, often mistaken for puffer zaranti, eaten at all, and aranti, even true pufferfish. Worldwide, there are over 120 species of pufferfish, but only about 22 are approved for fugu preparation in Japan. They belong to a group called tetrodotoxin, found mostly in warm coastal waters. They go by many names: blowfish, balloonfish, toadfish, but their design is always the same: soft-bodied, slow-moving, and almost cartoonish. And from a survival standpoint, they should not exist. Pufferfish have no ribs. Their bones are fused into a rigid, box-like structure that offers almost no internal support. Their organs aren't secured in place. They literally slosh around freely inside their bodies. In most animals, that would be a death sentence. One hard impact could rupture everything, and somehow that's only the beginning. Pufferfish are among the worst swimmers in the ocean. Some species barely move at all, wobbling awkwardly from place to place. They have tiny fins, no claws, no camouflage, no speed, no escape plan. They are, by every evolutionary metric, a failure. And yet, they've survived for over 40 million years. They've outlived apex predators, ice ages, and multiple extinction events. To understand how, we need to look at their first and most misunderstood weapon. Pufferfish don't inject poison. You can actually touch a dead pufferfish safely, assuming your skin is intact. Unlike jellyfish, the toxin doesn't act on contact. It only becomes dangerous once it enters your body. The poison tetrodotoxin, or TTX, is stored in their organs, skin, and mucus layer. If it reaches your mouth, eyes, or bloodstream, that's when it becomes lethal. But the pufferfish doesn't rely on poison alone. Its first defense is deception. When threatened, it rapidly gulps water or air. If stranded on land, and forces it into an elastic stomach. With no ribs in the way, its body inflates like a balloon. During this process, its internal organs physically shift around to make room. In some species, hidden spines snap outward, transforming the fish into a spiked weapon. To a predator, this is a nightmare. Swallowing, it becomes impossible. Choking becomes likely. And even if the predator succeeds, that's when the real danger begins. Tetrodotoxin is 1,200 times more toxic than cyanide. Just 2 milligrams, about the weight of a grain of sand, can shut down the human nervous system. A single wild pufferfish may carry 200 times that amount. This toxin doesn't make you vomit or pass out. It blocks voltage-gated sodium channels, the pathways your nerves use to communicate. Your muscles stop responding. You can't move. You can't breathe. The most unsettling part: the pufferfish doesn't even make the toxin itself. It comes from bacteria, mostly from Vibrio species, absorbed through its diet. That means a puffer raised in captivity on a sterile diet can be completely non-toxic, just an awkward, balloon-shaped fish with a permanent look of surprise. So why doesn't it poison itself? Evolution solved that too. That single molecular change makes them immune. Neuroscientists study this mutation as one of the cleanest examples of evolution rewriting biology to survive its own weapon. And the toxin isn't just defensive. Some evidence suggests pufferfish use trace amounts to immobilize prey. Mothers lace their eggs with it, turning them into floating chemical traps. Brightly colored, completely exposed, and lethal to touch. And then there's the beak. But hidden behind that goofy face is a set of fused teeth powerful enough to crush shells, coral, bone and fingers. Aquarium owners are warned never to hand-feed puffers. Once they decide something is food, they don't hesitate. Even stranger, pufferfish are intelligent. Some recognize their owners. Others navigate mazes. One in an Australian zoo even learned to swim onto a platform for medical checkups. And despite all of this, the poison, the intelligence, the danger, humans decided to eat it. Fugu has been consumed in Japan for over 2,000 years. It was banned repeatedly by emperors and military leaders. And every time it came back because eating fugu became a ritual, a display of courage, a test of trust between chef and diner. Even today, chefs must train for years and pass brutal exams to serve it legally. Less than half pass on the first attempt. Most modern deaths come from amateurs and black market preparations, and one of the most famous cases, in 1975, a legendary kabuki actor declared a living national treasure died after insisting on eating fugu liver, the most toxic part of the fish. He believed he was immune. He wasn't. Still, fugu persists, because evolution doesn't always prioritize fairness. Sometimes it plays the long game. If one predator dies eating a pufferfish, the message spreads. Don't eat the spiky balloon. And through sacrifice, reputation, and fear, the species survives. Thanks for watching. If you found this as fascinating as we did, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the hidden wonders of our world.